My ex-wife showed up to our divorce hearing with a baby bump. Yeah, pregnant. She thought that little surprise would guarantee her a payday. But then the judge hit her with one simple question, and everything unraveled. Ever watch someone destroy themselves in real time? Like actually sit in a courtroom and witness a person dig their own legal grave with every word. That's exactly what Amber did. Honestly, I should have seen it coming. The entire divorce had been a circus from the start. Delay tactics, emotional outbursts, bogus paperwork, all designed to wear me down. If she had put even a fraction of that energy into actually working on our marriage instead of trying to ruin my life, we might have stood a chance. But the moment she walked into that courtroom with a belly full of someone else's kid, I damn near laughed out loud. Not because I thought the baby was mine. I knew for a fact it wasn't. No, I laughed because I could see the scheme playing out in her head, like a badly written soap opera. Amber was banking on pulling heartstrings, playing the poor, helpless, pregnant woman abandoned by her evil husband. She figured the judge would throw logic out the window and force me to cough up cash. Prenup? What prenup? The whole plan was built on sympathy, not facts. Put on a show, win the judge's pity, and walk out with a check. I could practically hear the speech she rehearsed in front of her mirror. Your Honor, I'm carrying a child and I've been left with nothing. How am I supposed to survive? All while throwing me those sideways looks, waiting for me to squirm under the pressure. Problem was, I don't rattle easy. And I don't lose. Amber made the mistake of thinking I'd fold. She figured I'd panic, get nervous, maybe even throw her a settlement just to avoid looking like the bad guy. What she didn't realize was, I'd already unraveled her little game months ago. The thing about Amber? She wasn't just bad at being a wife, she sucked at lying. And she had no idea the judge was about to ask the one question that would blow her whole act to pieces. She came in smug, thinking she was 2 steps ahead. One hand cradling her stomach, the other brushing her hair behind her ear, like she was the picture of innocent motherhood. She even let out this dramatic little sigh as she sat down, like just being in the courtroom was emotionally exhausting. I didn't react. Didn't need to. Because unlike Amber, I wasn't walking in blind. I came prepared. And so did my lawyer, Zachary Reed. Now, I'm not a fan of lawyers in general, but Zachary Reed? That man was sharp, calm on the surface, but ruthless when it counted. A shark in a tailored suit. Watching him dismantle Amber's stunts over the last few months had earned my respect. Meanwhile, Amber had already burned through 3 attorneys since we started this mess. The one she brought today? Rookie. Probably still had graduation confetti in his briefcase. I almost felt sorry for the guy. Almost. Thing is, Amber had a playbook. It didn't include pregnancy until now, but the manipulation? That part was old news. Tears, trembling voice, playing the victim, she'd done it all before. And sadly, some people actually bought it. Including my own mother. Just a week before the hearing, Mom called me up. Just settle, she said, her voice worn down and tired. You don't want this to drag out forever. I remember pinching the bridge of my nose, trying not to explode. Mom, she's not getting a single dollar. That's the whole point of the prenup. She's pregnant. She pushed, like that changed everything. You really want that kind of guilt on your conscience? I almost lost it right there. Mom, the kid's not mine. She paused. Are you sure? That made me laugh. Am I sure? She cheated on me. Repeatedly. I caught her, remember? I let that sit a moment before adding. And you know what? If I genuinely thought that baby was mine, she wouldn't need this act. I'd step up. I'd be there. That's who I am. She schemes, I said. I take responsibility. Mom didn't have anything to say to that. She just let out a long sigh. I just don't want things to get any uglier. They were already ugly, but I promised her I'd take care of it. Which brings us to that courtroom. The judge came in, and we got started. Right away, Amber's lawyer jumped into this over-the-top sob story. Your Honor, my client finds herself in an impossible position. She's pregnant, unemployed, and suffering from the emotional and financial fallout of this drawn-out divorce. Right on cue, Amber sniffled. I stayed still. Zachary Reed waited, let the theatrics run their course. Then he stood up. Calm. Steady. Ready. Your Honor, he began. While we acknowledge Ms. Collins's current situation, there are a few clarifications we'd like to make before proceeding. Then he turned to her lawyer and dropped the bomb. First things first, who is the father of the child? And just like that, Amber tensed up. You could see it all over her face. I saw that question coming from a mile away. She didn't. She figured no one would ask. That she could stroll in, look pitiful, and walk out richer. But legally, the pregnancy only mattered if I was the father. Her lawyer froze like a deer in headlights. Finally, he mumbled. My client believes it is the petitioner's. I almost lost it. Believes? Zachary Reed didn't blink. She believes? So there's no confirmation? Amber shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable. Then the judge leaned in, eyes narrowing. Ms. Collins, have you had a paternity test done? Amber's lips parted. Closed. Opened again. Caught. I mean, I just assumed. You assumed? The judge repeated, sounding like he'd just heard the dumbest excuse of the year. Ms. Collins, do you have any actual evidence that the petitioner is the father of your child? Her lawyer looked like he was praying for the earth to swallow him whole. Amber went pale as a ghost. Me? I just sat back in my chair, arms crossed, soaking it all in like a front row seat to the best show in town. Zachary Reed was already on the attack. Your Honor, he said coolly, we have strong reason to believe this child is not my client's. Then came the receipts. Zachary Reed pulled out a stack of photographs, clear as day, showing Amber cozying up to another guy. These weren't vague shots either, we're talking hand-holding, kissing, full-blown couple energy. All of it dated 2 months after we separated. Then, for the grand finale, Zachary Reed slid some papers across the table like he was dealing the final card in a poker game. These are Ms. Collins's medical records, subpoenaed legally, he said. They show that her first confirmed positive pregnancy test came well after she and my client had ended their relationship. That did it. Amber's face cracked right there at the table. Her lawyer looked over at her, and you could tell from his expression that this was all news to him. She'd kept him in the dark, probably fed him the same lies she'd been trying to sell the court. The judge let out this long, disappointed exhale and shook his head slowly. Ms. Collins, he said, this court does not appreciate attempts to deceive. Based on the evidence presented, there is no foundation for financial support. He looked down at the paperwork like it personally offended him. The prenuptial agreement remains valid. You will not receive alimony or any additional compensation. Boom. Amber gasped like someone had punched the air out of her lungs. But, Your Honor, this hearing is over, the judge said flatly. Just like that. Finished. Amber sat frozen, like her brain was glitching, trying to process how everything went sideways. She wasn't expecting any of this. In her head, she probably saw herself putting on a good show, playing the victim, wiping away tears, and walking out with a fat monthly check. Instead, she'd just been exposed. Publicly. Completely. Her lawyer didn't even try to console her. He just stared down at the floor, probably wondering how he'd ended up in this mess with her. Meanwhile, Amber sat there clutching the table, like maybe if she gripped it hard enough, the truth wouldn't sink in. And then, because she couldn't help herself, she exploded. But, Your Honor, she blurted, voice climbing an octave. This isn't fair. I'm about to have a baby, and he just gets to walk away. The judge rubbed his temples, like he'd heard this speech 100 times too many. Ms. Collins, he said, exasperated but firm. This court does not base financial rulings on emotional pleas. Unless paternity is confirmed, which it clearly has not been, your pregnancy has no legal impact on this case. She tried again. But, the judge raised a hand. Enough. Then it happened. She snapped. Amber whipped around in her chair and locked eyes with me. You're really going to do this to me? To your own child? There it was. Her final bluff. She was still trying to plant that seed of doubt, hoping someone in the room, anyone, would second-guess the facts. The courtroom went dead silent. I smiled. Not a smug grin, but a slow, cold, I know exactly who you are smile. Are you sure you want to go there, Amber? I leaned forward, voice calm but razor sharp. You really want to accuse me on the record? Because if you do, we can schedule a court-ordered paternity test today. She froze. Her face twitched like she wanted to scream but knew better. She had nothing left. And now, everyone else in the room knew it too. The judge didn't even bother responding. He just turned to the clerk. Adjourned. That was it. Game over. Amber had officially lost everything. But just because the hearing ended didn't mean the show was over. I wasn't done watching her unravel. As Zachary Reed and I walked out of the courtroom, my mom a few steps behind us, I expected Amber to just slink away quietly. I should have known better. She came stomping out, heels pounding, face flushed red, hands trembling. You're a monster, she hissed at me. You let me sit in there and get humiliated. I turned slowly, looked her up and down. Which part embarrassed you, Jess? The part where you lied to the court, or the part where you realized I was 2 steps ahead? Her jaw locked. You set me up. I chuckled. No, honey. You set yourself up. I just let you walk right into it. Her eyes darted like she was hunting for something to throw at me. And then, in a last desperate swing, she turned to my mom. You're seriously okay with this? With what he did to me? Mom looked at her. Folded her arms. Calm but firm. I'm not okay with what you did to him, she said. You fooled us once. Never again. Amber's lip trembled. For a second, it looked like she might cry for real this time. Then came the meltdown. I hope you rot. She spat at me, stepping forward like she might actually try something. I hope you. Ms. Collins. The voice was sharp and professional, coming from behind her. Amber spun around. 2 court officers had just stepped into the hallway. Come with us, please, one of them said. Her whole posture changed. Wait, what? Why? The judge has recommended an inquiry into possible perjury and fraud, the officer replied. We need you to answer a few questions. Her eyes went wide. No, that's not. But they were already guiding her back toward the courtroom. I let out a long, steady breath. Zachary Reed gave me a pat on the shoulder. Well, that was satisfying. I cracked a grin. Yeah, it really was. Amber was marched back inside, and I didn't follow. I didn't need to. The moment she was out of sight, she stopped being my responsibility. But I did stay up to date. And turns out, the judge wasn't just annoyed, he wanted to make an example out of her. Pretending to be financially destitute. Bad. Trying to manipulate the legal system? Worse. Lying under oath? That's perjury. Her whole case got flagged for fraud. The request for alimony wasn't just denied, it triggered a deeper investigation. Over the next few months, I heard things. She got hit with fines for wasting the court's time. Her lawyer dumped her immediately. When she tried applying for government assistance, they turned her down too. No proof of paternity, no aid. And the icing on the cake? Her boyfriend, the guy from those vacation pics, dumped her. I guess once those photos hit the courtroom, he started doing his own math. And suddenly, he wasn't so sure that baby was his either. Can't say I blame him. A few months later, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was her. Hope you're happy, it read. I stared at the screen for a second, then typed back. I am. Thanks for asking. Then I blocked her number. I'd spent years being dragged through her chaos, manipulated, gaslit, controlled. But now she was finally out of my life. Alone. And for the first time in forever, I was free.